thanks again to Eusebio for minimizing my amount of work, although even though he grades them, I check them out just to make sure, and he grades them a little tighter than I do, so if I grade your chart, you'd probably get a better grade. Eusebio's pretty tight, and I appreciate that. That means he wants you guys to succeed the same as I do. I guess everybody's on here, and the weather here in Oklahoma is about 50 degrees, bright and sunny, and we have a new president, Mr. Barack Obama, and so everything's going fine here in the world. And so what I'm going to do is put a chart up here on the screen for you guys to take a look at. And this is the pound yen. If you will notice, there are a few very minor differences than the chart that we ended up last week. That was patience 4. And I did make some changes because today I'm going to teach you about primos. That's before a mo. Actually, it's a counter trend trade, and we're going to spend some time on that today. And I want you to write down 2 words. Write them down on paper someplace where you can see them. I want you to write the word primo, P-R-E-M-O, pre for mo, pre and mo. Excuse me. And then I want you to write down the word extreme. It's very important that I burn this into your brain, extreme, because we do scalping, counter trends, primos. Those are all mean the same thing, but we'll just call them primo. We do that from an extreme position of price on the chart. So I'm going to give you an illustration of that. Don't have any housekeeping duties today or anything. You guys, like I said, most of you just did a bang-up job on the homework. There's a few of you that are kind of sloppy with your stuff, and if you're kind of sloppy in trading, we'll have all your money. Me and Eusebio will have all your money. So I'm going to go find a place on the chart. There's nothing. Let's start back at the back. Let's go back to the back. There we go. We're back at the back. Now we're going to look at a scarp. Now here's the difference in the setups on the chart. Down here, I moved the SRO down to the Vanini place down here. Now the Vanini just hasn't shown up yet. I could fix that. Let me go in here and fix that so it shows up on the chart because it's got the number of bars. I got it set at 3,000. Well, I have to set it at 5,000, I guess, and see if it shows up. Now you can go in there and reset the number of bars. Well, it's even 5,000 not enough. Okay, well, we won't worry about that when it comes up. The only thing that does is use more resources in your computer, and whoever designed the thing sets it at 1440. I don't know that it has any difference, but oh, by the way, on computers running slow, this is something I have noticed. From about 7 o'clock in the morning to about 11 o'clock, my computer is a 6 gigabyte of memory. It's a high-speed booby dobber, and it runs a bit slow between those hours on my MT4 charts. Now when I'm doing voicemail, I'm not voicemail, but when I'm doing email, it doesn't even affect the email. It's just the MT4 charting programs, because there's so many people using those, I believe at that time, that it's tending to slow it down. Now that's my guess. I have nothing to prove that, but if you're running slow in the morning, don't take it as maybe being your computer. It's probably just that there's so many people using MT4 and the data feed and all that kind of stuff at that time of morning. It may tend to be a little jerky in its movements. Okay, now let's go back here. Here's an extreme place, and this is a good one to start with because it's not very much. You see this high point right here, that's extreme. When I say extreme, I mean the word extreme. I don't want anything down here around home base for you to be doing these primos. That's not the purpose of this exercise. That is an extreme point on the chart. Count the tunnels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tunnels, right? So that's an extreme position on the chart. So when price gets that high, drop you just someplace up there. It's made a little crabgrass. Drop your vertical line. Now what's happening with your oboes here? Look at those. That's 2 obos. That is an 8-period obos, and this is a 13-period obos, which gives us a nice cross around the .65. Now, the reason I put both of those in there is because the SRO and the obos are based on different scales over here to the right, and so therefore we can get a nice cross here. And look at your accelerator. It has also changed colors there. Now, that ought to tell you something, even if you're brain dead, is that this thing is going to go down. Now, what we don't know and what Mother Nature won't tell us is how far it's going to go down. Now, we could probably use some Fibonacci stuff and clutter up the chart with it, but here's the rule. You jump in as soon as, well, and see the non-lag moving average hasn't even jumped into effect yet. So what you're going to do here, you're going to jump in right there. When that bar closes, if the next bar is red, you jump in right at the top of it, and you exit at the first sign of trouble, which is right there. Now, how many pips is that? 57. Damn, isn't that terrible? 50 pips. Sometimes more, sometimes not. But you exit at the first sign of trouble. Write that down there, extreme. Your first bar that closes inside the Bollinger Band is a setup bar. The next bar is the entry bar. The minute it turns, don't wait. Now you're going to see it's going to get a little more clear when we get further at the next point. So you quit right there. Now don't try to ride these things all the way down or you'll get your ass kicked all the time because Mother Nature, she says, take what you can get, 20, 25, 15, 25, 30 pips, whatever you get, you exit at the first sign of trouble. That's the rule. And if you get caught in a Wewoka switch or something like that, don't cry to me that these things don't work, because they work beautifully. Okay, that's an extreme point on the chart. You had a very nice setup bar there. You had an M, you had a monkey M, and you had a cross. You had everything going for you, except we didn't have in this position on the chart the Benini. So now let's go on over and look at another extreme place on the chart. You see that? That's 1, 2, 3 places. That is about the closest distance to home base that you want to try this. The closest distance to home base. Extreme. Now this isn't extreme because this is where mows come from. It could be considered extreme, but that's another situation. We're looking for extreme points away from home base. Now, if anybody doesn't understand it, I'm going to repeat it. We're looking for extreme points on the chart. After a big run-up like this, that's extreme. So you would enter right there. That chart, that bar went all the way through the non-lag moving average, and you would enter right there. And you would take whatever Mother Nature gave you, which means all of those red bars, and then that first blue bar bouncing off of the balance line there, the second balance line, and Mother Nature just give you about 50 pips. Right there. Rarely, I mean, very little danger. Actually, it's better if it's up against a tiger tunnel, but it works just as well if it's there and you've got the Bollinger Bands and you've had your, your signals there. Okay, now let's go to another extreme point. Now that's really extreme. That's 4 away. So price comes under there. This bar closes under there. Actually, you could enter right there because that bar closed inside, and that bar is inside the non-lag moving average. And you would go and you get out at the first sign of trouble, which is on your mow line. $40 pips net. Now it goes right back up. You see, this is why you exit at the first sign of trouble. Now you've got another one that bounced here. It made a perfect 1, 2, 3 point. But I don't want you to wait till you get down here. So what happens when this goes under the non-lag moving average? You enter on that next bar, and you had a nice little exit right there at the first sign of trouble. And gee, you only made about 50, 60 pips. Wow, 80 pips. Simple, very little risk. And in those little 2 movements there, you made a day's or a week's pips for most people. Those are the only two places you try that is at extremes, and you have to recognize the tiger tunnels. I'm sorry I didn't drop my line there, but I'll drop them now just so you can see where everything is. You drop them at the highest point. You see your cross there, your cross there. Let's go back to this one I didn't mark. I'm sorry, see, I get so busy talking, my brain can't function. So there's where you look at that, look at that. Look at this going down here. You got this actual divergence right here for you. And that's about as close to home base as you want to even consider this, though. This is not an exercise in futility. It's an exercise when nothing else is going on the chart, like all of this crap around here, and it's not a good mow because it's going against the mow. Then you come down here and you find a mow. Now, occasionally, you will have a mow coming off of this. Oh, excuse me. Let me see what this is. My brother's having difficulty with his computer. Okay, so anyway, occasionally you can turn this into a good mow, but still we're dealing in dangerous territory. Right in here, you're just trying to squeak out 40 to 60, 80 pips, whatever Mother Nature will give you. And she will give you a lot of pips if you just pay attention. Oh, criminally, I've wiped out patience. Well, let's go back. We've got to have patience in there because I not only I tend to forget things myself. So I like to have my little reminders on there. 5. Okay, there we are. I feel better now. Okay, now let's go a little ways further. Now you get down here. This is one reason why Kathy Lean says it's almost physically impossible to trade at the most optimum point. But I'm trying to prove her wrong and make money at it at the same time. Now this is 1, 2, 3 away. So what you're going to do, you're going to look. Now you don't know where the lowest point of this thing is going to be, of course. But when it gets down here, you could probably start looking right there. Well, that doesn't look like a good place to scalp up because that's down, and that's got a W on it. It's a possible, but price is far enough above the non-lag moving average that there's a little gap in there that I don't think I want to risk trading that. So you can check all of these low points out just by dropping just drop your hook in there and see if you get any nibbles is what it amounts to. So that one would have given you a few pips, but there's still the non-lag moving average is still a bit high. And this is what you will see, that the non-lag moving average will get closer to the price when the best place to enter comes up. Not always, but right there you could drop one there or take a look there. Well, that's the M, and that's down there, but this is under the 60. This didn't go all the way up, so I think I just wait. And so let's go down here and drop another one. When you get that green diamond right there, drop one. Now look at what we have here. The only thing that's against this is the AC, but it's right on the borderline there. But here you've got some divergence now. So you've got divergence coming from way over here all the way across there telling you that this thing is about to happen. You got divergence on the bottom at the oboses. You got your exits there. So there is a place to jump right in, right there. You would enter for safety right there on that bar, and you would take what Mother Nature gives you. First sign of danger is there, but it's on the green. You might want to just set your stop real tight and let it move, and sure enough, it goes right on up to the next balance line there at 80 pips. So this is something, once you set your stop and you move it up there so that you don't lose any money, you set your stop to break even when it gets there, maybe let it ride, or maybe you want to re-enter when it does this right there, even though it's not a mow. This is simply part of the pre-mow. All of this is part of the pre-mow because it's all against the grain here. Now that's counter trend or pre-mow trading. Now see, this would be a nice spot, but it's a dangerous thing. I don't think I'd ever try one right there. I just wouldn't. It's not far enough away for me because and it looks like it would be a good one. If you got in it, looks like it would show you, to the danger point, 30 pips. But I don't want you doing that. We don't have to trade crap like this. This is just for days when the market's not doing anything and you found a few extremes. Now you get one down here, and let's drop a hook down here, someplace down there when price goes through the Bollinger Band right there. You got the first blue bar, and take a look at that. Oh, looky here, looky here. Divergence, divergence. You got a nice cross, and your AC is not too far against it, but that's the only questionable thing about this. But this is the lagging of all of the indicators that we use, the most lagging. So when it's in your favor, it's a pretty good sign. So it's still not too bad because it was kind of confused here. But right there, you would enter. Where do you enter? Right there. That bar right there is your safest entry. Goes right back there, goes, bounces, hangs around the Tiger Tunnel, and then it goes straight up. And now look at this one. There's really never any danger in this trade, one up, one down, one up, one down. And you can ride that sucker all the way to the top for 200 pips on a scalp. It's all in knowing what to look for. And even if you did the Brady Cat thing like I do a lot of time, you get out right there, gee, you only made about 80 pips. 50 pips. So the point is, you've got, and you ignore now, even though this turns into the Mo line, this is not a Mo because it's against the grain, but this is a sign for you to see that it is a positive thing when it goes across the 21. And look at that, look at this. So you just have to watch these things. So you would exit this little baby right there at the high when that bar turns red. You exit because it made crabgrass. Now that's as good a scalp as you're going to get, and probably in the beginning most of them will be in the 30 to 50 pip range, but they're still there. Now look, coming back. If you stop in reverse, you can stop in reverse. You would enter right there. That would be your safest entry. And the first sign of danger would be right there when it bounces off that 21. Because remember, this thing can turn around and go right on back as a pullback in a Mo trade would. So, gee. And on the backside, you only make 35 pips. I'd think that's still pretty good for just a few minutes work and paying attention to what's going on. Now comes down in here to your Mo. There's your Mo line, your Mo entry right there. And you can consider, I've been thinking about this for months now, and I just can't make up my mind, but the non-lag moving average gives you some angle and separation between these, and if they're headed the same direction, that is still your safest place for the Mo, because if you look at that one, it's all up in there in the spaghetti. So this is still the safest place for your Mo is on that first pullback. Then your MX would be here on the Tiger Tunnel. You got a ledge there for a scale in, and you got a scale in here. Well, you got one right there, but that's on the ledge. That's not a good scale in point. But then you've got either an MX or an XXX right here, depending on what you feel like. And what you're saying is because it's 4 Tiger Tunnels away, so that may be a good place to XXX. And then when it comes on down, it proves to you that it's not going to turn around and screw you. There's another beautiful Mo, as good as you'll ever find that far away. And you've got an MX right here. And you got an XXX somewhere along in this area here, depending on what you're doing. There's your XXX. Yeah, there's a scale in right there. I wouldn't have marked out. I knew there was one there. Okay. Now let's go back to, let's find an extreme point. Now down here you got all kinds of them. But when it goes sideways for this long a period of time, I get real fraidy cat because it looks like it to me it just might go on down, although this one didn't. situations like that, that's tantamount to spaghetti in your home base. But still, if you're looking for something, when you drop one down here on that last red bar, drop you a hook in there and see if there's anything that might tantalize you. See, but this is up here, the cross was down here, and they're just not any. But now over here, when it really happens, let's drop one down here. You see that doji show up, then you take a look. You got a W, you got a divergence that runs pretty much across the entire bottom of that thing. And you've got the next bar turns on by the time you do that, and your entry would be right there. You got to wait for this thing. When you get something, like this, it's bouncing off of that, and you don't have clear signals. And this is extreme. It's 5 bars away, 5 tiger tunnels away. And the first sign of danger, obviously, would be right there. But if you take it and you take it right up to the red balance line, you make how many pippies? 160 pips right there. Just to the first sign of danger, it would be 50 pips. So that's extreme. That's far enough away to be extreme, but you have to wait for that bottom to form, and you notice that you've got this, and you've got this, and then you've got this support line right here. From that line across there, you've got a big support line right there. So that would tell me, once this kind of forms up down there, that this looks like it's going to be the bottom. Okay, do I have any questions at this point? Long candle is only a heads up right. Many times they will retrace, but you must be careful. At all times, we'll plow straight ahead. Yeah. Okay, long candles like this one's going to retrace. This is, if I'm in a trade, that's my exit point. When I see a long candle like that bouncing up to these things, that will be my exit right there. If I was still in this, or if I had gotten in here, that would be my exit. 3 sideways bars right there. Because that bar, I know that it's going to retrace within 1 or 2 bars, almost always when you're in stuff like this. See, that bar happens to be how many pips long? That bar happens to be over 80 pips long. Okay, so that is not a place because it's not extreme right there. See, you're butted right up against home base. That thing is looking for a mow. It's what it's looking for, which happens right there. I wouldn't say that's the best one in the world, but it's a pretty good mow, and it takes you down to this sideways action here, so you made a few pippies on it. There you are, right there, 60 pips. And when it hangs around that line and it's been like this, I'm out. I'm very out. Now you look at it, it did it again, and you just do it again, re-enter. And then down here at the bottom, you've got that long bar up. You got a fairly long bar down. So when you see that, get out. You can't improve your position much when this situation occurs. You're at the bottom there. You're at the bottom there. Drop your anchor here, so to speak. Whoops. And just see where everything is. You see, it doesn't hurt to check. And you could have checked these other things out the same way. You had actually it told you it was going to go up, but it's a little too close. This is a little further away, but not much. So these I don't think are really good scalps to go back. Even this one to go back. It's three away though, so it comes under the basic rule. But then you have to decide that when you enter right there, as your first entry would be on that bar, then it's going to go sideways on you, and you're going to get fraidy cat and get out there probably just before it takes off on you. So that little thingy would do. Well, first sign of trouble is there, and then but if you rode it all the way up, it would deal you about 86 pips or 30 pips. So you see, if you get in right, even the shortest time period will give you 25 or 30 pips of these things. Okay, so none of these qualify for any of that, but see, there's a nice one. Look at that one. When you see price do this, BIP, and you have that long pin bar up there coming back, your entry would be right there at the top of that bar, and write it down to the first sign of danger, which would be right there. That's your first sign of danger. Right there. 100 pip remo. You just forget mows when you're looking at pre-mows unless it happens to turn into a perfect mow. We're going to run across a situation probably somewhere out here where it'll turn into a nice mow in addition to the pre-mow. But see, that's not a mow, or none of that stuff is. This could have been a mow, but still, with all of this stuff around here, I'd like to see more indication of some angle and separation. So see, then just a few bars later, if you're alive, look at that. You got that pretty mow starting right there. Takes you right up to the top where you have let me move it down. Whoops. Damn. Move it down. And you get a nice scalp out of it, but it's not worth very much. Even if you took it right there, your first sign of danger, where is it? Going to be right there at the best. But still, now you got to look what we're doing here. There's 40 pips. Almost all of these situations with the crabgrass and the tiger tunnels there, I see you got it again. It comes back on the 1, 2, 3, or not quite a perfect 1, 2, 3. Now when it does this, see here's your only danger in these things. You got your entry right there. You don't know what's going to happen. But the longer this situation has to go, the worse off it's going to become. This is my rule. After 4 or 5 bars, and I'm not loser, I'm not winner very much, I'm going to get out. After 4, 5, or 6 bars across sideways like that. And that's my rule. I've told you that many times when I get to the bottom. If I get 4 or 5 sideways bars, it can't be good. 90% of the time, it's not going to do me any good. I'd rather wait and catch the next bus. Now this turns back into another nice mow right here. Right there, nice mow, but it doesn't go anywhere. See, it just goes up there and makes crabgrass, so you get the hell out. So even your mow today were scalps. So you scalped up a 40 pip mow, big a deal. Now you get into stuff like this going sideways, what do? Pass. It's not extreme for you to trade for a scalp, even though that would have been a beautiful one. You're still in a little close to do this. Now if these 2 candles had gone through this green line there, I might have taken a shot at it. I might have. Now it would have turned out good. Look what would have happened. Your entry would have been about right there. You could have ridden this thing all the way down to the bottom for 140 pips. So, but it just didn't look good to me. Now, when it turned into that, which is a kind of mow, a partial mow, a maybe mow, because it's still in the wrong area, there would have been a nice trade. But you don't take those. Why take them? Why take a chance? Then you had a mow coming off here. And guess where it went sideways? Right there. XXX. Not many pips. 60 pips. Now this chart here, I don't know where it came from today, but it's a pound yen, and it's just made for scalping, made for pre-mows, not mows. You see, you're on your second line away from here. I don't even look for them unless they're usually 3. I mean, if it's been like this, I don't like to mess with them because you don't know where your entry point's going to be or what's happening, and you don't know that it's doing this until it comes and bounces back around here. So that's another form of spaghetti because everything's all conglomerated up. If you could pick this point every time, you'd make some money. But there's just no percentage in it. Why do you want to do that to yourself? See, that's gambling. That is not trading. And there's your mow entry. And there's your exit, XXX. When you get that stuff, there's a chance for a scalp, which we'll cover in a second. But let's drop our line there, see where everything is. Not looking pretty good for that mow. Then you also had a scale in right here. Whoops, what am I doing? What am I doing? Got a scale in right there. So, a little high, but that's all right. It's okay. And then when you get up here at the top, you exit, and then you can turn right around and reverse. Right there. Now let's see what it looks like this way. Perfect. Perfect. You got an M and the M&Ms, and you got a cross there. You got the cross on the AC. Slam into it. And what do you get? What do you get for your efforts? Down to the first sign of danger is 30 pips. You want to mess around with it a minute or so, you can wind up with 55 pips, but I don't worry about it. I take what I get. I take what I get. Write those words down. Take what Mother Nature gives you. You run like hell at the first sign of danger. It goes up here, and all this mess goes on here. Look what happens. A perfect mow comes out of it. Now, what we're talking about today is pre-mows. It has nothing to do with momentum trading and the max. It's a part of it, part of the M, but you're not getting any acceleration out of these, obviously, because the chart isn't giving it to you. Even this mow here, right there, I'm going to get out of that right there. I'm going to just get flat out of it because it's a place to get out. I'm going to drop a line here at that red point and see what it says. It's up, it's up. That's the place to get out. You got divergence going for you, going against you right here. You got an M there on your early warning sign, and then you have divergence going here, a warning sign, and so your mow is worth probably maybe 80 pips. I don't know, 80 pips, 50 pips. So, okay, but it comes back down here, and look what it does. It makes a perfect mow. Mother Nature rewarded you for your patience. Somewhere around there is your entry. This is at the high place for it. You've already had your low place here, and this is at the high for your mow. Now, you got all these scale-in possibilities. I'm not saying you're going to take them all, but you got them. There's your first one. Whoops, that's wrong. What am I doing? I'm marking the green, Jim. There's your first one. There's your second one. There's your third one. You had an MX right there, a little level point. Then you got another scale in. You get up here, crabgrass, you're on a mow line, you're on a tiger tunnel. What do? Get the hell out. My rule. And you don't take any scalps on this with the trend looking like that. You just don't do it. Although you could make maybe 10 pips or 15 pips. Almost every time you do that, you can make 10 or 15 pips. Even that is 20 pips, see, on this chart. So, but you don't need to go practicing that because you're in a pretty strong trend now. After coming out of this stuff, you're in pretty strong stuff. But you got another mow entry here coming up right there. Well, actually, I'm sorry. What am I doing? Should be back here. I'm looking at the red line. Okay. And then you've got another, well, that's actually right on top of the scale in. You got a scale in here, and what do when you get up there? You get the hell out. That's what you do. And there's a place, if you're going to reverse, right there. Now, out of all of them we've done, this one is not going to make you much money if you get Freddy Cat there, but it's still 20 pips. It's just hard to lose on these things unless you stay in them too long. This is not long-term trading. This is brushing your hair. You can brush your hair by the time that does that. And then you've got another shot at it right here because it did the same thing, bounced up to the tiger tunnel, which is your resistance there. You've got another scalp, and you exit at the first sign of danger. I don't know whether that would be. Probably would be. I would, probably. So you still made about 5 to 10 pips. You covered your spread. You made 22 pips. Comes back and gives you a mow that doesn't give you anything, though. Not much of a mow, but it's still turned out. And you're going to exit right there. And then, if you've got that, now you don't. The only thing you have, you're not near the tiger tunnel, so you're getting no resistance there. So you come down and you do this one, and you would enter around about right there. And then you would ride it till the first sign of danger, which is way down here, 96 pips. Go sideways. You're under the mow line. You may want to just hang with that. That would be an MX if you were doing it. And it goes all the way down here, which is 200 pips. But this is your pre-mow, and it turned into a non-mow, a look-alike mow, but it's still enough that you could chance it coming off of there, because you entered up here. The mow line just adds a little strength to your pre-mow. It is not a momentum trade, though. And don't go telling anybody that I told you that the momentum trade, whoops, what did I do that for? The momentum trades don't begin there. And I'm not changing the rules. This is just part of the max. A way to, when the market is giving you garbage, you make hash out of it. You don't have to trade stuff like this. Eusebio gets some good ones all the time, right? I think the first day whoops. Okay, come on. So maybe run a little slow. I don't know where we were. Let's go back and find. And see, nothing's changed on this chart. This is the same chart I showed you, except we made a slightly different use of the indicators. Let's start here, because this is a pretty extreme point. This is extreme, but not very much. This would be what I would be consider kind of a dangerous one. You would have probably slopped the line there. That's not looking too good. Oh, you've got your Vanini back here. So you drop one over here at this one right there when it touches that again on your red line. So now we got, this kind of looks like possibilities here. You've got, this is made it's made a wide W, but it's really not. You've got a little divergence there. So if you look at the next couple of bars, if I were doing this thing, I would have probably entered about right there, give it plenty of time to time to catch up with the possibilities. And then you get out at the first sign of danger, 20 pips there, or up to the home base, 70 pips. Now you got to remember, the price is trying to get back to this, to home base here, or at least that red balance line. For some reason, those two things are like magnets. So if you want to ride this out, all you got to do is reset your stop to break even. So and you'll get more pips. There's over 100 pips in that one, and it turns around. And you get a mow here. Your entry would be about, that's pretty close, but somewhere after this bar, maybe on that one. To be safe, now you can do it down here, but to be safe, you might want to go there. And if you didn't do any scale ends, when you get the crabgrass there, is 72 pips or 140 pips. So by paying attention and watching what Mother Nature's doing, you can get a lot of pips. Now this is a place at three tunnels away. You could enter at that before that long bar, and you could exit at the end of the long bar. See, the minute that turns blue, $40 pips. Another mow. And there will be days when you can just do nothing wrong. See, it goes up there. There's 50 pips, or 50 pips. You XX, that would be a place to XXX, or you might just do an MX there. You could do either. But I just haven't seen any long-term possibilities out of all of this crap today that we're looking at. See, there's your other mow. And it goes at that angle that I really like, and the one that's so good, but there's your exit right there, simply because of that angle was almost vertical, and you didn't have time for, you didn't look for many scale in, so there's 90 pips. You could take your primo there, but you'd have to take it there, and even if you took it, let's move it down here, say that you did the total safe way. If you took it right there, then you're gonna lose something. This would be actually the first loser or second loser that we've taken out of everything we've marked here. Then you got another one coming right back behind that. And now this one has some possibilities here. You ride it to the first sign of danger, which is, God, clear down there where that bar is there, 50 pips. So you have to get back up on the horse. I told this story last week, or the week before, when I was a kid. I was riding this horse named Trouble. And my stepdad was a cowboy, a roper. And I was learning to rope and so forth. And this horse bucked my ass off. He was just a mean, cantankerous horse. And I got up on the ground, dusted myself off. Oh, I'm hurting, my shoulders hurting, everything like that. And Tommy said, "Get back up on that horse." I said, "No, I don't feel like it. I don't want to get back up there." And I was really scared. I was about 8 years old. And I remember being really scared. So my stepdad, big guy, big blustering guy, he picks my ass up and practically throws me on the top of that horse and patted Trouble on the ass. And she took off and out of the barnyard, and I held on for dear life. But I got back up on the horse, and after 2 or 3 minutes, I was fine. But you got to get back up on the horse. So you lose this if you don't take this, or if you lose here, you don't get this if you don't get back up on the horse. So none of this has to do, these are not max momentum, acceleration, and exit trades. These are primos with exits. It's how to conquer the market. Now look at this one, see? Even though we'll ignore the mo's and all that stuff for now. But this one's far enough away to give you a little thing. So when it gets down here, that first little deal breaks that stuff. And you look down here, where is everything? Well, it's red there. We haven't got across yet, so then you wait till the next bar. And let's say wait till that next blue bar, and then you see something. Oh, now this looks different, doesn't it? See, you've got a little cross there, you've got this up there, you've got this down here with a little, the Vanini even is in your favor because it's down there low and it's got some little divergence right to there. So you would pick your entry right there. That's not an entry, and that's not an entry. It would have to be at the high of that bar right there, your setup bar. Because even though this was your setup bar, it never gave you a place to enter until right there when that bar turned blue and that one turned blue. So there would be where your trading was, and look what happens. Look at that. Keeps going right on up to the blue balance line and the tiger tunnel. Now, you can't get them more accurate than that. It's like I placed them there by hand this morning so I could show you guys how to do this. Okay? Now, do you see the possibilities here? And these are what I call confidence drills. You see that? That's 100 pips. And there's not any traders in the world out there that would take this trade here because it's psychologically impossible to do it. And that's what we're teaching you. We're teaching you to do the impossible, the things that other traders won't do. Look at that riding along that tiger tunnel down there. The minute it pulls away from that tiger tunnel, you've got action right there. Okay. Now you quit. First sign of trouble, get the hell out of there. This is not a drill to see how strong you are. It's a drill to see how good you are to get the hell out. Now look, this is not a good place because it's only 2 bars away, and it went down and bounced up there. You did make a max out of this, and you probably would have had to take it right there, and you would have made probably that many pips. So 50 pips. And it's only 2 things away, so don't mess with it. Then look at all this other garbage coming up here. Nothing going on until you find your next max. Look here. You can enter this max right there. I don't like it when it goes kind of flat there, though. And I doubt if that being is bouncing back up into the home base, whether I would take in that max trade or not. It's really it's a scary max. I'll call it scary max. And see, it does up here, and it doesn't quite give you a max there, so it really doesn't give you a good place to enter. right there, because this, you don't see much angle. That's way down here, so that's not a max. Now this one gives you an entry. This gives you a full entry right there, right after that little ledge. Now it doesn't go anywhere. If you do an MX right there, which is your natural thing to do right there, is to do your MX, and it goes over here and goes down there. So you're going to have to weigh what you want to do here. Everything, when this thing gets down here at the bottom, you've got that red bottom touching the Tiger Tunnel and the Bollinger Band. You've got to weigh whether this stuff is enough against you to stop you out of the trade. You're not thinking about, well, you could even make a stop and reverse, but see, you've got divergence here. And that's why we draw those damn vertical lines, to call our attention, to make sure we're looking at the same thing. If you don't draw those vertical lines, you may be a little cross-eyed like I am sometimes. When I get up in the morning, my sinuses are bothering me. If I don't draw that vertical line, I may not realize whether this was there or where it was, so it's not going to do it. So now you've got an opportunity here to enter that primo right there. Not a stop and reverse, it's almost, but not close. But look where the first sign of danger occurred. How far up was it? Right there, 90 pips. And you didn't even have a mo to work with. And if you didn't let that bother you, when it bounced around there, you could have gone up there for another 20 or 30, 40 pips. Now look at this. If you were in a trade, you would sure as hell exit if you're sitting there when that thing touched that and backed off just one whack. You just sell immediately, or sell whatever you're in. So if you took that max right there, or the mo, I'm sorry. If you took that mo, which is not a good one. Now I'm not telling you to take it. Your place to take it would be right there. Even that's not a good place, but there is angle and separation. So if you're going to take it, that would be the place, although it wouldn't turn out good. But it still wouldn't hurt you. It's still 50 pips, 90 pips. And that, you can't get in it soon enough to take the danger out of the primo here, because your entry would be somewhere right there. So there's too much difference in the time it touched the Tiger Tunnels and comes back inside to make this a viable trade, although it would have shown 30, 40 pips. Then you got to mow right behind all this mess. And see this long bar, remember my rule, I don't like them. So the smart thing to do would be to take that trade right there. Can you guys hear that? I don't know where the volume just came up there. Sorry about that. That's my fault. So, there would be your entry to the mo. Not a good one, because I don't like them after long bars, but let's just suppose that you dummied up and took it. And what you got there, you've either got an MX or an XX. It's all at the bottom, so you know that that's as far as it's going to go for right now. So if you exited, you would have had your 2 units of 87. And by the way, in the primo trades, I use 2 units, because you never know when it's going to turn into something better or something longer. So I still use 2 units in everything in the first trade. So now you got a ledge forming here, and you've got another mo happening right there. Look at that. Just as pretty as you can do. But see, none of these are turning into anything to speak of. And you got all this wide business here. Even if you took an MX right there, I probably would take an XX right over here, because I just don't like the looks of all that mess. So still, you would still make 50 pips twice. And look. What's happening here? Now Mother Nature is going to take care of it. You got a little gap there. So you couldn't enter until about right on that mo right there. That was at the end. That was on a Sunday night right there. That would be the first crack out of the box on a Sunday night. And so you would have a MX right here. you would have a scale in at the bottom of that long bar, but whether you would want to take it or not, I don't know. I don't think so, because probably you're going to do an XXX right there anyway. Now you're far enough away that you want to drop your hook right there to see how that's doing down here. You got divergence, you got across, you got everything is favor of it, so you shoot a little trade right there. Remember, your trade is right there, your setup bar, and your exit would be right here at the first sign of danger. Now, it doesn't seem like much, but you would still make 20 pips twice. And then you got a mow coming back off of there. You still got nice angle and separation here. So you got a mow when that ledge breaks, when that bar breaks, price breaks that ledge right there. Actually, let me mark it for you. When price breaks that ledge right there at the top of that red bar, you enter, and then you look down here. It's going to be at least an MX and maybe an XX. It's down at the bottom. There's no crosses. There's no reason to make a primo out of it. It's just that would just be an exit as far as I'm concerned, because that's headed down and all that's down. So I would just go ahead and exit the rest of the trade. Well, that there would be the exit point for the whole trade, XXX. But see, Mother Nature just keeps putting this stuff up there in front of you. Now, you got all of this stuff going sideways here. I would shut down the charts and go play golf or go have a drink or do something, anything. And then you get this nice mow coming out of the end of that garbage, which is right there is your best entry right after that first little pullback there. Now this one turns into some real pips. Then you have your MX here, and you have your XXX right there, and a possible primo. And it is a primo, so you take it, and then you exit at the first sign of danger. Actually, if you're playing the mows, you shouldn't mix these up. This is if there's no other thing. I rarely would take a primo if I'd had a mow right there, for the reason that you don't want to mix up the two, because you get your head confused and you'll take the wrong thing. There's 40 pips on that one, but I doubt if that's one I would take, because there was a mow and I've got all this angle separation. I'm probably just going to play the mow game here. So you got another mow there. Again, a go no, well, actually, yeah, there it is right there off that ledge. And then you've got an MX or an XXX right here. Then you've got to drop a line to tell what I'm doing. But even these mows haven't turned into very much. You did have a scale in on this one. You had a scale in. Yeah, that one wasn't a good one because you exited right there. So you'd exit there, then you get this one. Now this is a nice one. This is really a beauty. And you get, how many scale ins do you get? You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's beginning to flatten out there a little bit, so I think I'd probably ride right there, because the next one is about the same level as that. Go down here and touches that. I'm going to exit all the trays. Did you guys hear that? Incoming mail? Wow. Anyway, there is a nice max trade, and this one is probably worth, let's see how many pippies. 275 once, 200 twice, right there at the ledge, 154 twice, and 100 twice. That's about 600 to 700 pips. I'll take that. And that's all because you were in the game. You see, this is right after the British Open with those two. No, those are my lines. Oh, I should change those back. Anyway, there's a nice Mo trade. There's as nice a one, it's just as sweet as heaven. That's a month's trading for most people. Then you get this, and you take a look at that. Chances are you're not going to want to take that one, but you might. Let's just assume you did, and you didn't. You decide, well, heck, that's just a good place to do it. Comes off of that bar. This is going up. This is going up. You got a W. You got a W. This is headed up there. So you take that trade right there, and you get out at the first sign of danger, which is not very far. Right there, probably. So 20 pips twice. So it goes on around here, and you don't really, I don't think I want to trade these little stuffs here, even though that looks like it made a Mo. It's really not a good situation. And it's riding sideways compared to the trend line. The Tiger Tunnel also shows you the current trend. And you get out here, and now you get a Mo coming off of here. That's a possibility, but it's not looking good because your entry is going to have to be right someplace about right here. So do you take it or not? See, that one's up to you. But look what happens. It goes down there and shuts up. So you got to be fast on that deal to get out if you take that one. But it's really not in a good position. Nothing about that looks good to me. I'll tell you that for sure. Especially looking from this angle, it doesn't look good at all. But now you get one here coming off of this ledge. You might even consider this one. See right there, there's been a little distance there. Or this one here. Right there. You got your MX. Right there. Either one of those two would have been great. And you got this, you got your railroad track, so you get out after that as quick as you can after that red bar turns blue. Because you're at the very bottom. Everything is telling you that's the place to exit. Anybody question why I would exit right there? And that's something you need to do when you're exiting and marking these charts. Don't take my word for it. Mark the chart. The chart's going to tell you what to do if you're just visually tuned into what's going on. And we can ride this thing on down here, and there's a lot of garbage and stuff going on that I don't like. So I probably would pass when I get entries and stuff and looks like this. I don't need that. But look what happens down here when you get out here and everything kind of smooths out. Right there, we get a nice ledge for a Mo entry. Right there. You want to take garbage like this or whatever, that turns into a pretty nice Mo. A scale in, and another scale in here, although it's at the bottom of that long bar. I don't think I'd probably take that one. But you would MX. I don't know whether I'd even MX. Well, yeah, I'd MX right there. I'd take a little profit there. Actually, there's a scale in, and then you would exit at the bottom here. Why am I exiting there? Why am I not letting it ride? Well, drop a vertical line so I can see it without even looking for it. What I'm looking for down here, this is all at the bottom. This is all at the bottom. This is headed down. Nothing looks like I want to do anything except get the hell out right there and take my 150 pips that this one made. There's 100 pips twice, no once, and then from there's 88. So there's 250 pips right there in a matter of less than an hour. No, let's see, it's about, how much time elapsed here? 17 periods, so that's about an hour and a half. Not too shabby. Now you don't look for a primo down and stuff like this. The primos are when nothing else is happening, and you see a peak. You go to a chart and you see you just missed that Mo right there and so forth. Now there's a primo. You just, because of the angle and the separation and everything, the way it looks right there, and you just missed the Mo, or you didn't take it for some other reason. You just turn around and there you've got this way out of sight stuff right there, and you enter right there, and where is the first sign of danger? Well, the first sign of danger was right there. But if you set your stop right, you can go on and ride that little sucker all the way down to below home base, which is 130 pips. 130 pips. There's your first sign of danger. That's your scary mow. Your dangerous mow coming off of that. But it is really not a mow. I don't know what I want. It's a pre-mow. Pre-mow and pre-mow right there. That is not a mow. So I don't want you to get the two mixed up. And see, it comes right down and bounces off of that. And let's drop a line, drop a vertical line right there on that last blue bar there. And we'll drop a vertical here so you see on that red bar right there where they all hang around there. Now see, where is this coming from? You got an X, you got a W, you got divergence. You got all of this stuff down here, and you've got this next bar, which is that one, your entry bar right there, telling you this is a potential. These are high percentage trades. They are not anything else. There's your first sign of danger, and there's your XXX if you didn't take the first one. But let's say you just took the first one, there's 40 pips, or there's 70 pips. If you want to move your stop up there and take a shot on that, you could do that. So you can get between 40 and 70 pips every time you do this if it's extreme. That's extreme. 1, 2, 3 tunnels away from home base. 3 tunnels away. Now see, there's one. Boy, these look tempting too when you haven't had a trade for a while. You want to shoot one of these. Well, if you're tempted, always drop your vertical line on the last red bar that you're looking at down here. Oh shoot, why can't I get that line to work? Okay, so you look at that, it going up, cross, cross, cross. If you're going to do it, there's a place to do it. You're not going to make anything out of it, Your entry would be right there at the low of that, right after that doji light bar. And your first sign of danger is right there when it turns against you. And you picked up maybe 20 pips, 40 pips, 40 pips twice. So see that you can trade this stuff. And that's the reason I took today's lesson to this extreme, because these are called primos, and you must be at an extreme level. And even though, this is the extreme, it just doesn't look like, because it's been doing this, and this. You could make pips on it though. Don't misunderstand. That's down, that's down, that's down. But you want to pick your place. Pick a place where prices dropped, and you've seen it drop, and then it's the same thing. You've seen it rise here, and you missed it. But there's 2 extreme trades that if you did nothing else, that would make your whole day, several hundred pips. And see, trading, looking, and stuff like that is nuts. It's just nuts. Look how long you have to go here before you get into another trade. This is another day. I'm not going to enter a mow in a situation where it looks like that to me. I'm not going to enter a mow when it looks like that to me, and all of these things are just, they don't have a clue. But now, when I see this, this never really made a good mow to me, and it just dropped out of sight. It wasn't extreme enough for me to do anything, but look what Mother Nature provided right down here, right there. You drop a vertical line and see, well, maybe I want to shoot that little sucker upwards. Okay, up, and away. Your next bar, you get a blue bar here, so everything's 100%. And you take it up to the first sign of danger, which is right there, 25 pips twice. And if you want to do it, you can if you get out right there, but then see, she provides you with another entry based on this same prices now over the line again. So now you have another chance. You drop another vertical line and see if that red line didn't turn into something up after a cross, and that's all red. It's right there on the cross. So you take that one, and this one's a little more profitable. First sign of danger is clear up to home base, 50 pips. So if you miss something and you see something like this forming, you'll see that extreme level. Even though it's only 2 away, the angle of that trade gave it away. Because see, if you use it Fibonacci, now this is where, knowing Fibonacci, I can just tell by looking at them, that goes right up to the 50% marker, which you can barely see, but there's 50%, and there's where that thing went. It went right up to home base before you had any sign of danger. And that's what, knowing Fibonacci, I make a mental picture of that kind of stuff. And that's because I put Fibonacci on 1,000 charts to see what it does when it does something. Now, I can't find it in the objects list, though. That's pretty cool. There it is. But see, that home base is about 50%. So you could stay right in that little sucker. And look, comes right behind it is a mow. Now this, coming off of here, makes this look different. Look at that ledge. Look at that ledge. You got angle and separation. Now, it's not the greatest mow in the world, but it is a mow if you enter right at the high of that red bar. That's a mow. And there's your exit, XXX right there. And there is a nice primo right behind it because of that angle it went up and the angle it went down. You would enter at the top of that red bar right there. First sign of danger, that's really because it's all red. You don't get a blue bar until you're 117 pips away. This with trash down there at the side probably is a pretty good place too. Look at that. These things are just all over the place, but you got to be all over. Look at that red bar, up, divergence, up, cross there. This has got W. Got a blue bar turning. You enter that on that bar right there, and that bar exceeds the height of that red bar. And there's not an ounce of danger until it's gone 125 pips clear across home base. But actually 3 is better. You can do these, but you have to study enough of them to know what they look like at the right end of the chart. That's why we're doing this exercise. There's your mow somewhere in there. And look what happens. You get a nice mow, you got a 1 scale in, you got another scale in, and you got an exit with the railroad tracks right there. That could be a primo if you took it, but with the trend headed that way, I don't think I'd take that one. Not because I can see the answer. It's because everything has got this angle. Everything's got that angle on it, and I think that's showing trend, and it's way over here, even at the other end of the chart, it's showing trend. Even though I didn't have anything to do, and there's a mow I would have missed right there because I just don't like the looks of all of that stuff. None of it. I don't like any of it. Now there it would be the first opening where you get a little distance there, and it looks like it did something. So if you were to enter that mow, you wouldn't enter it until you're about way up here. If you entered any of that stuff, it would be after that ledge right there. And then you got a quick exit, what it looks like, or an MX right there. Then you've got another XXX or MX there. And so these bars are little old bitty bars that scare you to death. But as long as they're not breaking your plane, if you got a pop stop down here under the blue line, you can trade these all day long. Although they make you nervous. This is nervous Nelly trading. So there's an MX or XX, depending on what you're doing. But then you've got this other. You got a nice entry here. Let's see, about right there. You wouldn't take that one, I don't think, because that bar is just too long. There's your scale in there. Let's look at that doji and see where everything. That's up high. That's up high. That's not the best place. The best place to enter down here is a place that you're not going to consider it, though, see? Right there at the bottom of that blue bar is actually the best place to enter, but it just doesn't look good, and you can't enter something like that. I can't, because I can't see, even though that's the place to enter. And I'm trying to do this just as good as I can possibly. You've got these little ledges here with all of these potential scale ends. And all of those, that would make a pretty darn nice trade from right there till it starts fanning out here on the top. And there would be your first place for a primo if you were going to. This doesn't look good. That's just your exit. Bounces off of there. But then you get that doji bar up there. Drop your vertical line and see. Boy, it's right at the height. The height. The Vanini is even at the height, telling you it's going to go down. So right there, if you want to drop your two trades, 2 bars, you're not going to do it until the second bar right there would be your entry. Say you've got your doji, you've got that bar, your setup bar, and then your entry bar. So even that, your first sign of danger is all the way down here. You really didn't have any danger at 40 pips. So, and if nothing happens here, you didn't do anything right there. There gives you a straight down shot, so you've got a potential primo right there with all of that happening down there. Bottom, bottom. You got to trust your tumblers. But your first sign of danger there is only about 15 or 20 pips away, but that's okay. These things are not designed for permanent employment. 40 pips twice. And be happy you got it. And don't try to make your weight sure. I mean, okay, if you want to do this, you get your 40 pips and move your stop up here to break even. If I can make this thing do it. Move your stop up from down here to about right there. And then ride the thing if you want to. And that's okay if you do. You've even got some scale ends on this. If you set your stop to break even here, then go for it. You're playing on house money all day here. Right there, you got a scale in. I missed the spot. But I'm not trying to hit them exactly. I'm just trying to show you the potential that little primo has. But now, until you mark 100 of these things on the chart, you're not going to understand fully what I've been talking about. Now, look at this. This thing just comes up there and makes a perfect cup. Look at that right at the British Open right there. It goes all the way up and hits the Tiger Tunnel, and what does it do? Now, let's mark the high point there and see where we are down here. We're going down. This is going down. This has got divergence. So, boy, just slop right in there. Your first entry place couldn't be until about right there. See, you don't even have a dangerous place to enter right there. And your first sign of trouble would be right there, but it's really not a sign of trouble. And it takes you all the way down to home base for 133 pips. I mean, that's just sliding all the way home. Okay, I'm going to take about 5 minutes and answer questions. I'm going to send, you've got this chart, but I'm going to send you the chart with the obos on there made up like this, and the SRO moved down into here. What Craig and I are working on is an indicator based on the obos because of the different scaling on the side. I can't include at least I don't know how to include the SRO in there since I'm not a programmer. So, give me your comments or give me your opinions here. If you ride the non-lag unit until it changes color, you can stay in the trade longer. Yeah, and it could be dangerous, and I didn't mention that to you, but that's a way to judge what it's doing. See, because as long as it's red, you could stay in that trade. Now, that's not one. Let's go back to this last one. Yeah, because see, as long as that's red, there's very, very little danger there. And let that be your guide. I'm sorry I didn't even mention the non-lag today, and I just added it to the chart. So if you did this extreme thing here, your entry wouldn't have been till all about right here. I'm trying to figure out exactly where your entry would have been to be safe. probably after that little ledge right there, because you're under the tiger tunnel and you're under everything there. So if you just stayed in it, you would have a little drawdown here from your entry point to the high point there. Your stop's going to have to be 60 some odd pips here to ride that out. However, if you waited here, since it is going sideways and you got a little better drop at it, you even have the mow line going for you right there. Even though it's not a mow, and don't call it a mow, and it's not. This is a pre-mow coming off of there, and you had your little Bollinger squeeze there, so your entry would be about right there. I'm glad you reminded me of that. So you go right there with no danger at all, although the line is still red. So you still would have made 80 pips on the thing. And again, now I'm not even suggesting that you do this, but if you ride that ledge out with the way things have been going headed this way, you could actually re-enter based on the 21 and the red line. But what I'm telling you is probably the most dangerous trading I've talked to you about in the 4 sessions that we've had. So until you do 1,000 charts, don't even try. But see, that's 188 pips there. But you don't need to trade stuff like this if you wait for those great mows. Okay? Now, who said something? I can really relate to the pre-mows. Thomas Ray, U.S. Japan might be good for pre-mows. It generally retraces. Well, you can try any of them. I like the, this is the pound yen. Let me open up another pound dollar and show you a couple of the things on there. Well, where is it? Did I miss it? Hell yes. Pound. Where is the pound dollar? This chart changed on me. Had it. Okay. Chart window. And let's put old Pappy 5 on there. Okay. Now see there's one. Now you see that the thing about you're going to see that right at the top. And it's going to scare the pants off of you when you see something like that. That's what Kathy Lean meant by psychologically impossible to trade it. So you have to be willing to do that when you see that. It's on the tiger tunnel, and you got to make your entry, make a decision right there because it bounces under that. Now, let's just go here. And you see what that little sucker did? I mean, at the worst, you're going to lose 40 pips. But at the best, there's 256 pips right there. See how far out that is? That's on the red extreme line. That's the burn line. So, and this is a complete reversal. I think that was a reversal day on the pound yen. I don't know how I got back that far, but anyway, let's go to the home here. See, look at that mow this morning. Look at that thing right there. Just how beautiful that was. And I missed it. I don't know what I was doing. No, I was working on some exercise. But these things are all over, and you got to study. Go back and do your scrolls. Put chart 5 on there, and just go back and just look for primos, like situations like this where it's bounced off of that, it comes under there, and just mark them, and please yourself that get confident. See, that's 100 pips. Make yourself confident by doing the exercises, because that's the only way you're going to do it. People have trouble pulling the trigger. You know, occasionally I'll get up and I just can't pull the switch until maybe I'll lose the whole trade. I won't lose any money, but I'll lose the whole trade because it happens to a long bar just after where I was going to enter the trade. And then all of a sudden something jerks me up short. So I have the same problem as much trading as I've done and as many charts. But you got to be willing. Now, see, this is too close. That's not a situation you want to mess with, although it's 3 away. And it very well could be. And let's mark it and just see what would happen if you took that little sucker from right there. Oh, God, look at that. You see, I didn't like the setup, but that's 3, and that's 200 pips. relatively risk-free. You risk 40 for 200. I mean, you know, what could you do? Now see, look at this. This would have been a looser right there. There would have been you would have dropped your vertical line right here, probably at that, you could see right that you'd be 2 bars off here. It says W for up, this says at the bottom, and this is at the bottom, and you got an X, and you enter that sucker, and what happens? See, you got to be ready for this. You got, at best, you could possibly make 40 pips. Otherwise, you break even. And you can see it real quick when that second bar turns red. Get the hell out of your primo trade. That's your first sign of danger when that second bar turns red. That is your first sign of danger. And it was pretty close in this case. And Josephine asked me about a trade this morning on one chart. I don't even remember what it was, but I told her, I said, no, I don't like it. You've had 3 mows in a row, and this one, look, and immediately we messed around. I went back and looked later, and it turned north about 3 bars after I told her I wouldn't take the trade. Because I just didn't like the looks of it.
Hi, Jim.
I don't remember which one it was.
Sorry,
yes.
You're looking at a 1 hour chart there.
This is the 1 hour?
Yep.
Well, that's probably why didn't look so good. Let's go back there and see how it looks now. Well, see, there's where it was. Okay, so there would have been your first primo possibility right here, assuming that was something that you would take. You would drop your hook at that red bar that goes through there. Well, it says up, 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 up. You're crossing all this stuff. So even if you took it now, even if you took a little sucker right there, and you didn't get Frady Cat when it went even, you would still make 40 pips. So these things, they're not designed to be long-term, anywhere from 15 to 40 pips, and you've done a miracle job of doing the right thing. You've beat the game psychologically, and that's the toughest part of the Forex to beat. Knowing what to do is only a third. It's 2/3 of doing it. Is what it is. You'll know everything that you need to know about trading when we get through with it. Well, not everything you need to know. I'm sure I don't know everything, and I don't want to know anymore. I learn a little bit every day, and I find out something new every day, and I incorporate it. But this thing would have taken you right up there 50 pips or so. Even if you do a bad one, you're not going to have more than 2 bad ones in a row. I haven't had it that way in a long time. So if you took this one, you entered right there. Danger was 60 pips. But they can turn right around and go against you. That's why you use stop. Now look at that pin bar. Doesn't that tell you that this thing's going to go up? Look at that. This and this going to go up. Now if you draw Fibonacci there on those two, just on those 2 bars, what happens? Where did price go to? 50%. 50%, but it was already up there by the time you knew it had dropped that far. So Fibonacci knew what he's talking about. How do I can't delete that way. I'm going to just delete it here. Okay, so you can do your primo that way, and see this one's got a pause. Now look at this one. If you did a primo, and I'm not even going to analyze whether it is or not, but when that goes down there, look where it bounced, 38.2. It didn't quite hit 50%, but the length, if you dropped your Fibonacci number here, see that 50% marker there? That pause and everything is half of this. So if you drew your line, let me make this clear, I might confuse you. Oh, shoot. Okay. Now, if you were drawing something here and you thought this was the end and you want to do a Fibonacci here, you want to take your Fibonacci and draw it to below that line right there, okay? Now, you see the distance between here and here? If you'll figure out how many pips that is, Whoops, I didn't want that Fibonacci there. I gotta delete that. Ah, shoot. What I meant to do was this. If you draw the number of pips between this and this is 93 pips, and then if you draw 93 pips upward, you'll find that that's about 50, well, it's 69 in this case. So it's 38.2% of the difference. And it just works out that way in so many cases, but I still haven't learned how to, or figured out how to make Fibonacci pay off other than it as a possible exiting place. Let me remove that. That's driving me nuts. Anybody have any more questions on today's lesson? Homework. Here's the homework. I want you to go back and find some places on a chart similar to this, only what you're doing, it's almost like a slingshot trade. Is prices looking to get back to home base? A slingshot, they may not go very far, and you don't want to ride all this out and take a chance because everything totally is going against the grain. So you only take what Mother Nature gives you, which would be that much. But look, it's going to end on this bar or this bar for home base, somewhere around in there. But even if this one right there is 60 pips. So it's kind of a slingshot trying to get back to home base. So, and remember, these tiger tunnels act as resistance to this, or they act as support down here when it's on it. And what was support can become resistance, and what was resistance can become support. Now, when you take your notes on this thing, you might want to write that down because it is so true. You see how this line resisted this all the way down, and then it snapped off of there. It couldn't break through that. So, anyway, that's what we call primos. Other people would call them scalping, but I don't like scalping because I'm part Indian and it makes me nervous. I'm kidding. I am part Indian. Okay, so there you are. But look at this nice, sweet little old moe that pounced right out of there this morning. I mean, I'll bet you there's close to 1,000 pips in that moe right there. I'll just bet you there's close to 1,000 pips from the first part to the bottom part. And if you didn't take your entry till the right place, which would be about right there, that's 293 pips. That's probably close to 1,000 to 1,200 pips, easy, with all sections of it. Homework. Where were we? I want you to go find some. Go through the 10 pairs that I have recommended. They're in that list that Stephen has been so kind to provide us each time. By the way, Stephen, I want to tell you now, you get a scholarship to the next training just for your efforts to help us with stuff. And so there you are. I appreciate your efforts. And we just hope you make some money while you're at it. So find some points and mark some bad ones. Go back and scroll all the way back through it, and what you're going to have lots of time to find. Look at that. See? This is what you're going to find in a lot of the extreme cases, especially if it goes up at a good angle, it's going to come down at a good angle. And that's the slingshot effect toward home base. But they're going, you want to go toward home base. Look at that, toward home base. And you may find if you take this chart and move it all the way back to the front, and if you do 4 or 5 pair on the 5-minute chart, you're going to find a bunch of slingshot trades. So it's just a matter of being at the computer and having some way to pay attention. I had an indicator once with another charting program, XTIC, that I was using, and also Logitech, or what it was. And when price would bounce off of one of these tiger tunnels or touch one of the tiger tunnels, it would give me a bing. And it would give me a bing on this one and a bing on this one. Well, you got 3 on this side and 3 on that side and 10 pairs. I mean, that thing never stopped binging, so that was not the solution. This is a place you just have to be. Look how flat that is. Look at that channel there. Now, you think if we don't add the, where is it? The Oh, God. Where is it? It's down here. So here it is. We add the channel alert and put it on 21 and make the colors where you can see them. Look at that view. Look at that channel. And you got the squeeze and the Bollinger Band fitting right in that channel because this is the high. Each one of these little spaces here is 21 bars. So, and I can guarantee you that the turtle traders would have entered that trade right there. We might have had a head start on them right there, see? And you want to get in front of the mob if you can. But look what a beautiful trade that was. Yeah, it was 200 or 300 pips with the breakout. So I don't know that I've sent you the Donchian channels, but I don't know that you're ready for those. But Eusebio uses them all the time. And see, there's your extreme. It hits that third one. Seems to be magic on that third tiger tunnel to where these extreme things begin, although you will find some on the second one. So even as terrible as that looks, if you entered that thing right there and got out right there, but see, it's 19, 20 pips. So it's, like I say, Kathy Lean was right. She's a smart lady, and I love to read her stuff, and she's down to earth, and it's not too expensive. But she's got her chart setups book, which where I learned about her momentum trade, which I have changed totally. But her basis when price crosses that momentum line, and I said at 21 instead of 20. So anyway, that's about all of it for today. So your homework is to do some scrolling. You are the person that's got to satisfy yourself about trading. Only you can develop your confidence. I can give you the AK-47, but you got to learn to shoot that sumbug. But your homework, turn in some extreme pictures. Just pick one, and maybe one that goes down both sides where you had a chance to do both sides of an extreme like that one. And pick them out and mark them. And if you'd have taken the Mo, which is not a Mo, the semi-Mo, this is a semi-Mo, there's your pre-Mo, and that pre-Mo happens to turn into a semi-Mo. We'll call it that for lack of a better term. And that takes you right back to home base. It's just absolutely amazing that it does that. And then coming off of there, this one, you've got you can drop your lines, drop them there. Don't be afraid to drop them everywhere on your chart. And of course, your best place to do this preemie would be, and it takes you right back to home base plus up to the next line. So it's amazing how they fall on one of those lines or the other. Somebody told me, said, well, you can put lines on the chart anywhere and the price will fall all over those lines. And I said, well, go ahead and do it for me. Let's prove that. He couldn't. Okay. Anything else? Let's see. Homework from the 10 pairs. One long and one short primos. And mark and go through and scrolling on those 10 pairs on the 5-minute chart. Actually, you can do this on the 1-minute chart, and I didn't even show you that. You can really knock the hell out of them with this. See, on the 1-minute chart, you only have to be a couple of things away. But see there, you got to bounce, and you're not going to make as many pips on each one, but you can make 10 pips like my buddy Charlie. I taught him. See, there's 20 pips at the worst. But see, you can't enter till right there, 20 pips. So, but I like the 5-minute chart. Works just as well. You won't find that many of them, but if you're there and you see price getting up to near that third, fourth, or fifth outer tiger tunnel, you can start looking for a primo to develop. Okay, so that's it. Class is at, what the hell's today? Tuesday? Class is Saturday at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. Do your homework, and we'll grade it, hopefully. Now listen, I'm telling you, don't be late with that homework. You don't realize what kind of a problem that causes. When I get it graded, I have other things to do. So I want all homework to be in by 4 o'clock Central Standard Time Friday. 4 o'clock Central Standard Time Friday. Otherwise, I will send it back. Now, I've been nice in grading a bunch of them that have been late. Various excuses, like my I was out of town, like a guy didn't take his computer with him or something. So I've been nice and to grade those, but I will send them back because Sabio's got our best traders out there grading homework to help you guys. Okay, so any questions in the meantime? Fire them to the group, and we'll get those answered. You don't have to do that, but don't ask me any hypothetical questions. What would you have done here? If I see a terrorist coming with a bomb, I'm going to run. That's what I'm going to do. So the main question is, what would you do in the situation? So send me a situational question, and that I can answer and give you a pretty good answer, hopefully. Okay, from the 10 pairs, yeah, one long, one short. Has Chris been on? I mean, has Craig been on there today, Chris? I guess Chris is busy too. Okay. All right, guys, that's it for today. I'll see you Saturday at 2 o'clock. In the meantime, just get your homework in. And please get in early. Don't wait for the last day. This stuff is important to you. If you're spending good money to pay for this training, you ought to do your homework early, so maybe I can get you to do some more. And it's not like you don't want to do it, because you need to do it to learn how to keep from losing money and keep me from getting all over you. So it's been great, you guys, and thank you for being here, and thank you for referring us to it. You know, we get a lot of referrals from you guys. So any of you that want to give us a recommendation, you can go to the Money Tech Forum or the FXAW site and tell them what you think of us and our method of training. If you don't like it, tell them that too. Please be kind, because our intentions are good. We don't do anything that we don't think is good for you or in your interest of good trading.